I wanted to share some thoughts on charismatic INFJ speakers or gurus or leaders of movements that are able to sway people and have an influence that may be considered positive or negative depending on the viewpoints you take on it. I'm not necessarily making a video to tell you, okay, like if this person fits that definition, then they are certainly an INFJ guru or something like that. But more so, how to distinguish a charismatic INFJ speaker and motivational speaker, sometimes a guru, from other people that are not INFJ and maybe also charismatic speakers, motivational gurus, or whatever. Because there is often a tendency for people, I've noticed this, for example, on personality database and in discussions of various people who fit that description. Usually they fall under, people tend to type them either ENFJ or INFJ, right? And I think that this is restrictive, and there's often speakers who are neither of those types. They're going to be FE users, strong FE users, that is true, but they can often be ESFJs as well, There's a lot of ESFJs out there, possibly even ISFJs, but more often ESFJs, perhaps sometimes ENTPs and ESTPs as well, provided that their FE is well developed. So often when we think, oh, like Jordan Peterson is either an INFJ or, well, for Jordan Peterson, he's a wholly different case. So because there are so many types that people think he might be. But then there's other speakers such as Simon Sinek and others where people just think, INFJ. And if not INFJ, ENFJ. That's probably quite wrong because, in fact, I'm telling you today that there's a way to figure out, usually, if this figure is an INFJ. Maybe ENFJ, but there's a lot of similarities between the two. Of course, compared to an ENFJ, like such a motivational INFJ speaker is going to have a bit more of a distance with an audience. They're going to have an air of sort of elevation and respectability and of not completely directly communicating, almost like sitting on a throne and being kind of ethereal, whereas an ENFJ will be more likely to engage the audience and be on more informal terms in some ways. But that's not even the crucial distinction. The way in which you can recognize when one of those speakers, one of those figures, one of those charismatic leaders is an INFJ is they have to be completely possessed by an idea. They have to be completely possessed by a vision or a worldview, depending on how you want to describe it. If the purpose is success for its own sake, attracting a crowd for its own sake, being recognized as a valuable figure for its own sake, or money, because money is obviously going to be a huge factor. Success, money, recognition, status, fame. Of course, charismatic motivational speakers, gurus, there's a lot of them who are motivated by just these things. They can still be very, very skillful at what they're doing, and therefore they're able to make lots of money from that and get status and fame and recognition. What I'm saying is that it never suffices for an INFJ personality. I'm firmly convinced of that. It's an INFJ personality, someone who is an INFJ might begin by doing that and find that they're pretty decent at it, but I don't think they can last very long. They will get stressed, they will get bored, they will ache at the utter absence of meaning in it all. An INFJ can do these things only on the condition that they feel that they are authentically pursuing an idea, that there is something that they're directed towards, that they're fulfilling their vision, and that they are sharing it with other people, because in some sense it's part of their destiny, it's part of their mission. They might articulate this to themselves, or they might not. They might live through it rather than articulate it. The ways of NI are complex and sometimes not easy to articulate in language, but nevertheless there's going to be something like this that happens. In order to have lasting power as a speaker, as a charismatic leader, the INFJ must feel like, in a sense, they are the vehicle for something transcendent. They have to be the vehicle for something that goes way beyond themselves and, if you like, the pleasures of the immediate moment or of the next moment. So if you're ever wondering, okay, is this person an INFJ or not? They seem to fit at least the characteristics at some level, and a lot of people on personality database and maybe on other websites type them INFJ on the basis that they are, very charismatic, that they speak in a language that is kind of metaphorical and engages people, always ask yourself, can you feel that this person is possessed in some sense by an idea, by a vision, and that they're devoted to it, and through it they carry other people? Is there a single thing that they are just like fixated on in some ways? If they are, then it's highly likely that they are an INFJ. They might also be an ENFJ with very strong MI. If they're not, they're much more likely to be people that have a connection with extroverted perception as well as extroverted judgment. So for example, an ESFJ would be quite likely. You know, the fact that INFJs are world deniers in many ways and alienated from external reality just means that they have to be possessed by a transcendent idea in order to keep going in along this kind of avenue. Otherwise, they're probably not going to be on the NI axis. So again, if you're ever wondering when it comes to a figure of this kind, that's the kind of question that you can ask yourself. Are they possessed by a vision? Are they possessed by an idea? Sometimes that makes them even more dangerous. We have lots of examples of revolutionary and historical figures, political figures we could go into. We might argue their possession by a particular idea made them more dangerous. But that's not really the point. My point was only to help you kind of distinguish and tell which is which. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, leave me, drop a comment, give me a like, and don't forget that I have written 2 books. My book on the INFJ, the ecstatic soul, which many of you probably have read, analysis on INFJ consciousness and the existential attitudes that arise from it, and my latest book, The Infinite Soul, which looks at INFJ life in the modern world, leading a purposeful, rich and meaningful life. All the links are below. There's a Patreon page that I have also available below. You know, my channel really benefits from any support it can get so that I can actually keep going. I've been getting some supports recently. Immense thanks to people who are willing to be on the journey with me. All right, see you guys soon. Bye-bye.